YouTube is something I wanted to kind of talk about because I get asked about it quite a lot. There are certain kind of key things that people talk about on YouTube and also to get good at YouTube, which actually I've kind of learned from scratch. There's certain things that I am very good at, which again, people struggle with, and I get why they struggle with it. The first one's to be consistent. One of the classic things, and I started doing video when I was at uni, so probably 20 years ago. But actually, to make a one-off video, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. You have to set up, you have to have the idea, you film it, you edit it, it takes a lot of time, and you put it up as a standalone video. That's often how a lot of people now create content. So Casey Neistat was a prime example where it's out and about, whether he vlogs on a camera or whichever, edits it up. And then again, people that do like daily vlogs. But the key is the consistency. So for instance, you might create the best content in the world and people absolutely love it. But if you only make one video every 2 years, there's no incentive for people to kind of follow the channel because they might love the video, subscribe, but then you're not going to pop up again for 2 years. That you're not really building momentum and followers. But the idea is that when you create content, you might get 50 views, if you might get 5 views, but one of those might think, actually, I quite like that, follow. And you make lots of little tiny improvements to build your following, unless you have just some big kind of viral smash. But consistency is mega important. So part of the reason why I do this live stream religiously every Friday morning, and I have 4 or 5 different kind of topics that I talk about, is that it gets broadcast live, so that's one. But then when I clip it all up, that creates 5 more videos. So if I schedule the videos to then post on YouTube 1 a day, I'm posting every day, but it only takes a thing a week. But I make the commitment to film every week, every Friday morning, because it kind of forces me to do it. And I also know that I probably wouldn't do it if I didn't force myself to do it. Does that make sense? But consistency is really, really important. And then to actually do that, so I do the live streams and I do the podcasts, I love to talk to people. I love to genuinely pick people's brains. And Simon, I will definitely kind of get you on the podcast as well. But actually, I'm happy to do that. So as long as I can find interesting people to talk to, I love talking to them. I love the questions. I have the set structure, but all of it creates content. So then when I go through and actually film the podcast, which I did on Monday with Gary Giles, I used to edit them all myself. And actually, I enjoy doing that. I love doing that, but I'm just really, really busy with work now. So actually, I use a guy called David Winter who now edits my podcast for me. So shout out to David. And we've got a really good relationship now that he knows exactly the style, the look, how we want them to kind of be done, where we take the original piece of content and then clip that up into a highlights clip, which is like 4 minutes or so that we repost on LinkedIn, which often gets the most traction. Probably about 5 to 6 kind of micro clips that cover different topics that the guest talked about. So I build that into the questions. And then also we export it as the audio only to go on iTunes, Spotify, and others. But again, the point is it's the one piece of content which you can repurpose. So between the podcasts and this live stream, that's like 10 pieces of content every week. And again, even with that, my following is slow. I won't lie. I know what people want to follow, and I'm going to talk about how and why, what they're looking for. I'm purposely choosing not to do that, but it's because of the brand and what I'm looking to build with the roadmap, which is, this. So it's a business education course. So this is what I'm trying to build, which is all about long-term kind of trust and credibility, which doesn't always align with what's actually popular on YouTube. So I'm going to go through them first. So the first one, I'm going to go thumbnails. So the first thing that you want to do with your YouTube content is create really good thumbnails. What people are looking for, and there's loads and loads of videos on this, so you can watch those about it, but they actually want kind of shock content. They want something which is attention grabbing. It's essentially clickbait in an image form where you see something, you think, oh, that looks interesting. You click on it. Because basically YouTube measures something called your click-through rate. And if it's less than 10%, so if it shows 100 people in your thumbnail and less than 10 people click on it, it downgrades it. If more than 10 people click on it, it upgrades it. But what that does, it angles you towards creating shock content where basically you're trying to grab headlines, you're trying to get people's ideas to get them to click. And for me, that goes against trying to create quality content in terms of business education. So I purposely don't do what I know would get me more followers, but it's part of a strategy for what I'm trying to build. Does that make sense? But definitely kind of look at your thumbnails. The next one is your SEO. So this is something that I've spent a lot of time kind of working on. The basically same as on Google. Obviously, Google owns YouTube. The way that people find your videos is really important. That I used to score like 5-10%. There's a really good tool called TubeBuddy, and basically when you install it, it's free. There is a paid version, but the one I use is free. It actually ranks all your videos, but any page that you go on from Marques Brownlee or Casey Neistat, anyone, it'll tell you what their SEO score is for that site. And basically, I never really put too much thought into the headline in terms of kind of, the tagline that you're trying to, because it has to be what people might search for online. And in the way that they search for it, so that's important. You want to match that with the thumbnail. So actually now it reads what the thumbnail is and it wants it to line up. Then you have the body text that sits underneath it, and that needs to match up. And then likewise, as you go down in the advanced settings, there's something called tags. And basically within the tags, it's there that you also want to put, everything that people could possibly search for, and also the categories that you fall into. And if you get all of this right, and you put in your where it was recorded from, the date it was recorded, etc., you score much higher. So the point is, if someone's trying to search for free business education, the hope is that the roadmap and our content, because I'm creating so much of it, will gradually climb that kind of ranks. And it's not perfect, but actually my TubeBuddy score yesterday was 100 out of 100, which is brilliant. And that was for some of the Gary Giles content that we put out on Monday. But it used to be crap. And the point is that there are little things that you can really kind of do that will genuinely help you get the message out there. And there's a big thing between whether you're going for views, which some people actually want to build a business just on YouTube, which is predominantly about views and ad revenue. So prime example, so on YouTube, even though I've got just over 2,000 followers on YouTube, my AdSense revenue is like 10, 20 quid a month. It's next to nothing. You have to genuinely get into like the hundreds of thousands and millions of views to make a career off it. Some people do. People like Mr. Beast are incredible. But the point is they purposely play the game to actually teach you to get views, if that makes sense, because that's their business. The reason why I want to talk about this is that my business is actually to do with this and the stuff behind it. I just happen to have a YouTube channel, and it'll be the same for you whether you choose to play that game in terms of don't just go for views for the sake of views. It's all about the credibility of the content and the flow through, if that kind of makes sense. And then last but not least, before I come to the comments, I just don't want to ruin the segment for YouTube when I clip this up, so apologies, is that for me, so one of the things that I love to do, and you can probably tell when you watch the streams or you watch this or you just look in this room, I genuinely love tech. I love cameras, I love lighting, I love Macs, I love streaming, I love OBS. I love it. And actually, I do tech reviews on YouTube for stuff that I've bought. So in the past, I've reviewed iPhone 13 Max, I've done Stream Decks, I've done cameras, lighting, all that kind of stuff. And I kind of love doing it. My tech review videos actually do the best out of everything I kind of create. But the truth is, I do it for fun. I don't do it because, I try and make money off it, if that kind of thing. And the science would say, and the tech, proper YouTubers would say, I should have a separate YouTube channel and a separate business streaming channel, and even maybe a separate podcast channel. But that's true if that's your longer term goal, to actually make money off YouTube as your income. I actually don't want to do that. So for me, the business and the consultancy is what actually pays my bills. I actually do all the rest of it for fun. And then because of that, people get to know a bit more about me and what I'm about and the stuff that I do. And yeah, if you're interested in tech, great, fantastic. You might learn something. But the point is, there's a lot of stuff that works on YouTube and people will teach you to do to get the most views. But actually, for you, that might not be the right thing to do. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm just going to jump to the comments. Hi Jack, cost-wise, would you recommend starting with an audio podcast and building to vlogs, or just dive in? Great comment. And sorry, I just kind of caught that up. I record mine, as far as the guest is concerned, on Zoom. So I do it that way because it means that it's easy for me to talk to people anywhere, and you don't have to worry about them coming to you, because the more you ask people to give up their time and stuff, it's less likely they're kind of going to do it. Also, hopefully for the viewer, you feel part of the conversation, so you can kind of both see both people's kind of faces. From a response point of view in terms of the interview, so much of it is to do with their body language and their feedback, and you can get the nuance that, for me, you can create a better conversation when you can actually see each other, because you know when to jump in or not to, that you can't necessarily get on just like a phone call if you just did audio. So because of that, and I've said it to my clients as well, you could start a podcast to do whatever topic you want. Find something that you're really passionate to talk about, invite guests on Zoom, and then record that conversation. And then you can easily stick a PNG overlay over the top of that to actually kind of turn that into video content. You can export the audio to then go on Spotify, but actually it's the same amount of work for you to record it, if that kind of makes sense. And the other thing, the reason why I do it over Zoom, whenever you have two people in the same room and you want to record them talking face to face on two separate microphones, it's actually really difficult to do, because you often hear part of my voice in their microphone and vice versa. But it's actually a lot simpler if you do it remotely. So in this, I have lots of expensive sound deadening and stuff in this room and microphones, but actually it works. So that's the way I choose to do it. Some people would do other things where they have a purposely set up podcast studio with two mics and they talk to each other and whatever. But that's a tougher gig. It's hard to get people to come to you. And actually, I find this is easier, but just a personal thing. And then likewise, when you then repurpose the content, it's much easier to post that kind of video of the thing onto your LinkedIn. And people might watch it and you can get the highlights and stuff. As where if you just post the audio only, maybe with just like a thumbnail or a graphic, I think less people are going to click on it. So I hope that's just my take on it, but hopefully that's kind of useful. I'm going to have to scroll up. I can't see all the topics. I'm going to just wing from what I can see. 10 free business tips to make you a millionaire by summer. Yes, so Jack, I'm assuming that's you saying what people say. Yeah, I agree with that. What I hate is when people kind of bullshit and they get people's hopes up that they think it's going to be easy or quick, and the truth is it's not. And often it's the people who are just selling the course who are making the money. So I'm completely with you. Simon, content including images, text, headlines should be inspire, captive, inform, facilitate, educate, excite, and enable. Yes, completely agree. For most people, the depth of their connections are more important than the amount of connections. Yes. Community with 100 engaged. Yep. Sorry, I'm just going through this all. Hi, hello from Thailand as well. Did the pack arrive? I'd love to know. I know I sent it a few weeks ago now. That all makes sense. Might even kill two birds with one stone. Jack, I 100% agree with that. And that's the one thing, again, whenever you start whatever your kind of passion project is, it's having the time to do it. So for instance, I have, even since I've been talking, I've seen that my chairman has tried to ring me now for a clean tech business that I work with. The point is, you always have people and things that take your time, because that's what pays your wages, and you have to balance all of that. So actually, if there are ways to streamline it down and have something, trust me, it helps. And the busier you get, the better it works. And then likewise, have something that you're passionate and will be happy to kind of talk about. For me, I love business strategy. I love working things out, which is what I'm really passionate about, and I happen to be quite good at it. The content and the stuff that I talk about on the stream is stuff that's happened this week, that actually, that's what gives me the content. So I make some notes and I kind of just wing it. But I'm happy to do this every week. That is to create the content. I think sometimes people, they want to create something, but it's not something that they're actually that interested in, and they lose passion for it. Because on YouTube, I'm up to like 930 videos now. I mentioned before how each week I create like 10 or 12 from 2 hours, 3 hours work. But the point is, it does take a while to kind of catch. Unless you're some viral sensation, you need something that you're passionate and happy to do. But definitely happy to help any way I can as well. But I do genuinely appreciate the comments. It's so funny that so many times in the past, I stand and talk for 40 minutes and nobody comments and nobody replies. So it's always great to see the kind of just progress and stuff, but I genuinely kind of do appreciate it. And no more comments on Instagram as well, but I do appreciate that as well.